Hello, I'm Moonracer, and in this video I will be giving a tutorial on creating level lists for Fallout 4, although this information will be useful for any Bethesda game because their game engines are all pretty similar. So let's start off. I've made some leveled lists already. Leveled lists are in the items, leveled item section. So the first thing I want to show is uh, less than or equal to player character's level checkbox. So then you can do this, and I've created a series of 3 weapons and a level requirement. And the preview level here allows you to use the preview calculated result. And since the level requirement for this is 1 and all the others are higher, I'm only going to get a pipe rifle from this level list. Now, if I jump the player character up to level 10, there's a 50% chance of either pipe gun or 10mm pistol. And then at level 30, there's about a 33% chance of either 3 weapons being spawned. And that's how that works. A good tip here is just when testing and making a leveled list is to place the window so preview calculated result lands right, and your mouse lands where the close window button is, so then you can quickly try multiple iterations of a leveled list. Now, if you want to change the percentages of how frequently an item spawns in a list like this, you can copy multiples of the same item. So here, even at level 30, there's a much higher chance of a 10mm pistol being spawned in over the other 2. All right, so that shows that. Next, I will show the Use All tab. So you can either spawn by player level or use all. And use all, as it says, it just uses all of the items in the leveled list. Every time. You can manipulate this. You can change the max count. So if you only want 2 items from the list, it'll only spawn 2 of that entire list. Now you notice it'll only spawn the from top down. So if you do this, Nuka-Cola will never spawn in. Now if you want a random selection, a good way of doing this is I'm going to set this so stim pack, you'll always get a stim pack, but there's only a 25% chance of any of the other items spawning in. You see, you'll always get a stim pack, and then you'll get a somewhat random selection of items. Now, if you set these numbers too low, the chances of the Nuka-Cola spawning will be pretty rare because the chances of the other items are pretty high. especially if you change the max count to, say, 4. So you can have a random selection spawn, but max count of 4 here. So you still can get a Nuka-Cola, but it's not going to be as common. And you can make each of these different. So Stealth Boy, you could make 99% chance, and 1 out of 100 you might get a Stealth Boy. But so that's how that works. And you can use change none as a global change of this leveled item list. So the level list works normal, but there's a 75% chance you just won't get anything. And you can change that to any percent chance you like. And that's how that works. So let's combine everything we've learned here. And here is a leveled list with 2 sub-leveled lists to combine and create a complex structure. Here's one, use all, stim pack, and a random selection of food and medicine. And another level list with an assortment of weapons leveled to the player. And then the main level list includes an army helmet. So as we preview this, we'll see that every time we'll get a army helmet, a weapon, a stim pack, and an assortment of items. So this is randomized, it's a collection, and it's player level specific. So with a few simple level lists, you can make a very complex assortment of items spawn fairly randomly and under your control as a modder. So you could see you could put this level list into a container, and every time the player opened that container, it would have a specific selection of items depending on how you want them to spawn in. And this can be randomized to offer a variety in gameplay, so you're not having static lists. So say every time you open a first aid kit, it doesn't have the same items every single time. Some more complex level list functions. We have keywords. These are mostly armor and weapon specific, you can see here. And I've put in a few weapons just to demonstrate. And this is going to make all of the weapons here that have the automatic keyword, they'll spawn in with an automatic receiver. And just to show how this works, within each weapon, there's an object template button here. And these are the keywords that is checking. So rifle automatic, it'll spawn with these weapon mods attached to the weapon. So that might be useful if you are creating a leveled list for a custom weapon you've made, or armor. That's pretty much it. Globals, I'm going to show in a pre-made level list. This is a scrounger. So this is checking to see if you have the scrounger perk or a specific rank of it. And these are in all of the containers that can contain ammo that might spawn if you have the scrounger perk. So normally, if you open the container and it has this level list, it won't spawn anything like you see here. It's just empty. But if in the game you have the perk and you open the container, there's a percent chance to contain ammo because it's in this list and it's checking for the global that you have the perk. As a modder, you could use that. You could go into globals and you could create a new global variable for your quest and then have, say, a container that has different leveled lists that check for uh, your mod's variables so that at the end of a story the container would contain different items depending on uh, which variable was active. So that's it for the custom leveled list that I've made. I'll show you some other elements in Fallout 4 to give you ideas of what can be done. This aspiration leveled list, this has the function to override the name. So these are store-bought legendary items. So it contains the combat helmet, and when it spawns it into the world, it'll call it the commando helmet. And you can see there's a list here. And you can go to use info anytime you're interested to see. And here's a quest with a bunch of legendary custom items that are spawned into the game. Then LLDs are leveled lists on death. These leveled lists are on actors in the game, and rather than spawning items directly into an actor's inventory, these items only spawn after the NPC has died. So you see, this will spawn in mole rat meat and hide when you kill a mole rat. This has the blood sample from Brotherhood of Steel, and it's using the use global for that quest. So yeah, you can see this is a good example of a complex leveled list for a pretty simple function that makes things a little bit more interesting. And that's pretty much it. It's a simple mechanic, leveled list, but once you learn it, it becomes a powerful tool, and I would like to see more modders take advantage of it. I hope this is helpful.